All right, we're going to work with our addition and subtraction fact families. We're going to start looking at the patterns that we find whenever we're working with fact families. If you can use your fingers and you can subtract using different ways, if you can do it on your in your head. But I want you to use the counter so you can see the patterns that come up when you work with fact families. So let's start off with 8 minus 5. That is our problem, our subtraction problem that we have to figure out. I do have 8 counters, and I'm going to subtract 5. So one of the ways that I told you that you can subtract is to go from the smallest number and count up until you get to the bigger number. So my smallest number, the smaller number is 5. So I'm going to start off with 5 counters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I know this top row makes 5, so I know that I'm at 5 there. Okay? Now I'm going to count up until I get to 8. All right? I'm going to get to 8. Now it's very important that you put your counter starting up here and that you fill in the next row. We don't want to fill in over here. We don't want to use down here. We want to fill in order so that it makes it easy for us to see the pattern when we take away and when we add back. All right? If you need more spaces, then you can come down to the second frame. But for right now, we only need 8, so we're only going to use this top frame up here. So I have 5. Let's continue. 5, 6, 7, 8. And right there, I can already see my answer, okay? Because my problem says 8 minus 5. So if I take away these 5, I'm going to be left over with those 3 that I just added, because I knew I started with 5. So I'm going to be left with these 3 right here. So my answer is 3. All right? 8 minus 5 equals 3. So now I'm going to flip it over and do my fact family in addition. I'm going to start off with 3 because this is what I have right here. I have 3 counters. Now it's asking me to add those 5 back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just simply going to add those 5 back. And now I'm back again to where I started. 5 and 3 make 8, which is where I started right here. Okay? And it works the same way as if I move this 3. Remember, in addition, it doesn't matter where your add-ins are. It's still the same. You still have the same amount. Your sum will still be the same. Because I still have 5 counters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 3 counters that are blue. And it still makes 8. Over here in the subtraction side, you're not able to move these numbers around, but you can move your answer and the bottom number right here, because you've got 8. And if I move these numbers around, if I take and I move these numbers around and I put 8 minus 3, guess what? It's going to equal to 5. Right? If I have 8 and I take these 3 out, it's going to equal to 5. It's the same numbers that I'm using in my fact family. Whether I switch them around in addition, my add-ins, or I switch out the answer to the bottom number in subtraction, I'm still using the same numbers. Okay. Next example. I have 9 minus 4. All right. I'm going to start off with 9 minus 4. I told you, count up to get to 9. So I'm going to start with 4 red. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to count up until I get to 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so now that I've got my 9 counters, it's telling me to take away the 4. Well, I know that if I started with 4 and I take those out, I'm going to be left with what I just added right now, what I just counted up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is 5. The same ones that I just put together right now. All right, so now if I have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to start off with 5 over here because that's what I have in my 10 frame. I'm simply going to add these 4 back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just add them back. and I'm back again to 9. Okay, so 5 plus 4 equals 9, or I could have 4 plus 5 still gives me 9. I still have the same 4 counters, the same 5 counters, and I still have the same 9 counters. The same thing over here. If I have 9 counters and I take 5 away instead of the 4, I'm going to be left, if I take these 5 out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to be left with these 4 counters right here. It's the same thing, except I'm just switching out the counters, but I still have the same amount of counters. I'm just moving them around, and that's what a fact family is. When you use the same numbers and you just move them around, change them to add or subtract, and that is, you're going to have the same amount. All right, now you give it a try with the next problems on your 10 frames and see if you can figure those out.